DJI Mavic 3 Pro, this week's new update. Got that coming up next. Bill the Drone Reviewer here. If you like the content of this video or anything on my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. With that, let's begin. The other night I hosted Rotor Talk Live and I was joined by Mr. Ron Braun and Mr. Marcus Crawford. We spent the better part of the evening discussing all the new updates regarding the DJI Mavic 3 Pro, including the FCC Grant ID release information, pictures from the DJI Mavic 3 Pro, and an update on which app the DJI Mavic 3 Pro possibly will be using. So without any further ado, let's roll that clip in its entirety. All right, it's time. All right, and like I said, we got a lot to cover here. Hopefully Ron and Marcus will join me shortly, but we're going to get started because there is a lot to cover with this update. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to touch base with here is yes. Let's go ahead and share the screen here. Now, DJI updates Go4 app ahead of Mavic 3 launch version 4.3.46. Okay. The app is currently used to fly the Mavic 2 Pro and Zoom, as well as older drones such as the Phantom 4 Pro. It also does the Inspire 2 as well. The updated version of DJI Go4 app is 4.3.46. According to DJI, the update adds support for iOS 15 and fixes certain issues and optimizes overall app quality. We haven't recently seen any updates for the DJI Go4 app, as DJI's newer drone models are all using the Fly app. The last update was 8 months ago here. So during the launch of the original Mavic Mini in Brooklyn, and he meant to say Mavic Pro 2 in Brooklyn in the fall of 2018, a DJI employee told me the DJI Fly app was the way forward, and the Go4 app was too complicated to keep working for older and newly introduced DJI drones. Furthermore, the Go4 app was considered not to be user-friendly, although it does offer more options to fly your drone and change settings versus the Fly app. The DJI Fly app interface was designed to be simplified and intuitive, compatible for Mavic Mini, Mavic Air 2, DJI Mini 2, DJI FPV, DJI Air 2S, DJI Mini SE, says DJI. So what do we make of the Go4 app? Short of the Mavic launch, it is scheduled for November the 5th. Is the update simply needed to keep the Go4 app functioning well on latest iOS and Android, or will the DJI Mavic 3 actually use the Go4 app? And is there a split between what app is used for consumer drones versus the more professional drones that will use the Go4 app? Or will we see an updated version for the DJI Fly app to unlock more features and make the app more suited for drone pilots who will fly the Mavic 3 professionally? Let us know in the comments below what you think of the DJI Go4 app ahead of the Mavic 3 launch. Okay, that is a lot to digest there, guys. Okay, that's a lot to digest. And I wanted to present this to you guys to kind of get your thoughts and see what you guys think on this. Okay. Yeah, G-Boy. Hey, G-Boy, welcome. Glad to see you tonight. I'm not a fan of the Fly app compared to the DJI Go4 app. Supposedly the Fly app will be getting a huge makeover for the Mavic 3. I hope so, Maddie, because it needs it. All right. It is an old code base. And let me speak from a programming standpoint, because I've been in IT for 30 years. I was a developer for a long time. And as you know, I do software quality assurance testing right now. It's an old code base, and maintaining old code base it's difficult and it's tedious, and it's very time consuming to make those changes. I will say that. On the other hand, it might be easier for them to insert the Mavic 3 into the Go4 app. All right. As you know, the original smart controller used the Go4 app. So, you know, for that, you know, now, yeah, it's been since been updated. But is this something? Is DJI gonna? I kind of here's my thoughts on this. Okay, they can go either way on this, but my thought is they're probably gonna go towards the Fly app, and like Maddie said, I think they're it's gonna have a huge makeover for November the 5th. So stay tuned for that. You know, while there are some things I like about the Fly app, the Go4 app, you know, see, the one thing that I like about the Fly app compared to the Go4 app is you didn't have deep menus. You didn't have to go down 3 menus to find something. I think that's a good feature of it. All right. The Go4 app, however, gave you more options to do things. So, and here's another, you know, some food for thought. All right. The Fly app is geared toward consumers. Okay. Your Mavic Minis, or is now your Minis, your Mavic Air 2s, your Air 2S, okay, Mini SE. Those are all consumer drones, all right, strictly. Mavic 3 is going to be, it's a borderline. It's a, you know, you want to call a prosumer drone. It's going to be between professional and consumer. So what app does DJI choose to use on this, okay? It remains to be seen, all right? Maddie may be right. The Fly app may be getting a full makeover for this, but they could still go with a Go4 app. We don't know. We don't know. And what are your thoughts on that, Ron? Welcome.
Bill, I just clicked on. I didn't even hear any of the pre-show chatter, but I do want to welcome everybody out in the chats tonight. See a lot of the our good friends out there in the chat. I see Lloyd the Grumpy Vlogger out there. I hope Judy's doing well. You know, so
yes, Judy is doing well. He posted that earlier, so
good.
Wanted to drop that by you. We're starting on.
What are we talking about, Bill?
We're talking the Mavic 3, and we're talking originally. You know, there's a lot to talk about here. We're talking about the Go4 app and the update, and now our good friend Maddie is reporting that the Fly app is going to get a huge makeover in time for November the 5th. But, you know, I was trying to point out the pros and the cons of using each app for the Mavic 3 because, you know, we think of the Mavic 3, you think of it more as a prosumer type of a drone. It kind of falls in between, you know, professional and consumer. And, you know, the professional end would probably call for something like a Go4 app with deep level menus, but more options available. So, you know, it's a coin toss at this point.
Right, because we'd all assumed that the Fly app was just designed, you know, for more hobbyists, like you know, for the Mavic Mini series and the Mavic Air series of drones. We never realized that it would, you know, maybe, we don't know yet, take over and be the only app. I mean, a lot of us assumed the Go4 was done, but now that they gave it a refresh, made it compatible with iOS 15, maybe not so now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'll have any confirmation for sure which app will work with the Mavic 3 until maybe that launch date of what is the 5th, Bill?
Yeah, it'll be the 5th. So yeah, you're right, Ron. We probably won't know up until that day and that time. You know, there's really been no hints.
I mean, experienced guys like you and I have experience flying both apps.
Yeah.
So it won't be a big deal for you and I to jump either one. But there's a lot of people that are newer to the hobby that we are, Bill. They only have experience with the Fly app. So them all of a sudden have to switch to the Go4 app could be a little bit of a wake-up call or whatever.
True. Very true. So yeah, so that's, you know, it's a coin toss as far as that's concerned. So I think that's something we kind of want to stay tuned to. You know, what DJI is going to do with this. It's going to be interesting. You know, and Hey put out a pretty good article about that. So, I mean, that's some pretty good food for thought as far.
I mean, and not only DJI, but Alltel, when their Nanos come out and Lights come out, they will have a special app for those too. So it's not just DJI. Alltel will be following the same track where they may have an app geared more towards their professional drones and an app more geared to their consumer hobbyist drones. So we'll see.
We'll see. Well, I don't know if you saw today. I think you probably did. Hey put out an article, and aerial photo from Mavic 3 shows high dynamic range and detail. And I don't know if you've seen any of these.
Well, we know high dynamic range is the full wording for HDR.
Yeah. So you know, it looks authentic, and in everything that he was talking about in the article. 1.7 megabit JPEG file. It's a resolution 4096 2416 at 72 DPI. It's not a raw image, so it's hard to determine the flexibility of the photo to allow for manipulation in the post. It has, look at the balanced colors and dynamic range, no blown out highlights or shadows. The aerial photo seems to be an HDR image with a lot of detail that was processed on board the Mavic 3. Now, here's another one with a little bit more detail. And then he goes into that apparently was just maybe holding the drone still and taking a picture. This is a Tibetan yak. And then down here, it looks like that original shot from what they said in the article, there was a panorama, okay? And they kind of took some detail. But as it said, obviously this is pretty high up, but the detail...
higher than 400 feet, Bill.
Yeah, that is not 400 HDL.
But remember, folks, that's only a U.S. regulation. That's not a world regulation.
Yeah, see, and I think this was over in Tibet, so which is a very mountainous region, and the detail on this is fantastic. And I think it's the real deal. I suggest you guys read the article. You know, I think it looks fantastic. I think we're in for a real treat, Ron.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I know the high-end guys are going to shoot raw photos and edit them all in Lightroom and so on. But for a lot of the audience, they want that in-camera process, super good-looking JPEG. And by what you just scrolled by, Bill, it looks like this will deliver a real nice photo, again, right out of the camera. Again, I know camera guys like Lauren, who I see in the chat. He's taking his 5 exposures and, you know, doing all his blending and coming up with something. But I mean, it is important for a lot of people to have good in-camera photo processing, and these do look quite dynamic. Now, of course, most of these photos you show, Bill, you know, have a lot of you know, dynamic range in the photo itself, so they make for you know, a good image. How you really see a good camera is, Bill, you take a picture of something that's not real vibrant, see how it does with that.
Yeah, and you're exact. That's a great point, Ron, because you really find out how that camera works and how it behaves. And for a lot of people, I mean, you know, I know for you, for me, for Marcus, for some others, you know, we can play around with ISO settings. We can play around with filters. You know, we know enough to be dangerous, you know, as far as that's concerned. But for let's say for like a new level hobbyist or somebody that's not been around drones that's going to get something like this, they won't have to do a thing. Okay, take some of these pictures and it will come out incredible.
Just like the phones.
Yeah.
If they have a high-end phone like iPhone or Samsung or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, one of the other things here, of course, and let me pull up the article. Okay, now this was real interesting, and I saw this on DroneDJ today, and I know, you know, we've been talking about how I've said, and I said last night on Drone Nation, and by the way, thank you guys for having me on, and it was a great show. And if you didn't catch it, please watch it. It was a great evening.
Yeah, welcome, Bill. Thanks for coming on last night.
Ray Kelly.
Good feedback. Yep.
Ray Kelly was fantastic last night, having him on, and looking forward to his meetup coming up. Now, this article on DroneDJ talks about, could supply chain chaos disrupt Mavic 3 Pro's launch? Okay, and I'll invite you guys to read the article. But one of the things that I was kind of formulating some thoughts after reading this article today, Ron, and where I think the problem is going to be this. DJI has an initial supply already sitting in the warehouses, okay, over in California, New Jersey, Atlanta, Chicago. They're in the warehouses already. They're ready to go, all right? And I know, you know, the big boxes have probably got an initial supply as well. Like
I hope Amazon has their units strategically placed around the country too.
Exactly. Okay. Where I think this is going to come into play is probably going to be maybe, let's say, a month down the road. Okay. And it's getting near Christmas. All right. And, you know, let's say Mavic 3. Okay. And I'm going to say this. It's going to be like the original Mavic Pro all over again. Okay. There's going to be it's going to be an explosion. All right. DJI is going to be selling these like hotcakes. They're going to be coming out left and right. All right. Where I think they're going to run into a problem, Ron, is closer we get to the holidays, if they don't get the supply chain issue solved by then, we're going to see another Mavic Pro not having them in stock, kind of an issue like we did back in 2016. Not because DJI hasn't produced them, but because of the supply chain issue that potentially could be going on right now.
Yeah. So, kind of what you're saying is, if you wait around to order or whatever, it'd be maybe 6 weeks like the original Mavic one. But I do want to point out, I read the same article you did out of DroneDJ, and not that it's a good article. They laid out the whole supply problem and the ships and so on, and everything they have in there is what you read in all the publications. But I mean, that article was just delays of shipping in general. They didn't have one detail in that article that was to DJI supply chain or anything in particular, Bill. So I mean, they could well be right, but it was all just speculation, especially as how it applies to the DJI. So,
I agree 100%.
But again, I still agree with you. If Apple's having a slight delay on getting their iPhones out, everybody's in trouble, whatever, I mean, and I kind of going to say your words for you. If you really want this Mavic 3, be ready to order on day one.
I agree 100%. And I think that's the message that, we need to be ringing that alarm bell loud and clear. If this is a drone that you have wanted, get your piggy banks ready now. Okay.
Yeah.
Get your buy button finger all lubricated and ready to go.
But who I feel sorry for, Bill, is the people that aren't sure and they want to sit back and watch all the Billy Kyles and Aldrin and Stasios and all the big channels get all the reviews out. They want to sit there and study those reviews, Bill, and then they want to make up their minds. But then when they go hit the buy button, it'll say like backed up for 6 weeks. So I feel bad for those people that aren't sure and want to see the reviews.
Exactly.
Because not everybody has their mind made up. They want to see what it can really do, and I don't blame those type of people. If you're going to put this type of money out, you want to be sure, don't you, Bill?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if you see Lauren's comment. I'm not ordering a Mavic 3. Gotta love that humor from Lauren. That's good. That's a good one. One of the things that I found today, I think we all know Henrik, Tech Drone Media. Okay, Great channel, great guy. I've talked with him several times, chatted with him several times. He's a great guy, and definitely, if you haven't subscribed to him, please do so. Now, he put out a video, and I want to, I'm going to show, and I dropped it in the description for you guys to take a look at. Now, what he is saying is, okay, read the title. DJI Mavic 3 has no CX label confirmed by FCC database. Good or bad news for you? Does it carry a C mark or C class identification label? As this will have a high impact according to the new EASA EU drone laws 2023. Okay. And what that means is, will it fly over the European Union? And if you watch his video, apparently this means it's a no-go for the European Union. Okay. And he explains in there, and he does a great job on this as well. Why he says it's not DJI's responsibility. It's more on, and it's not the FCC's responsibility. Okay. So I highly encourage you to watch this video. Of course, my friends overseas, please watch. Henrik's a great channel. Subscribe to him. Please do so. And please watch his video because he explains it pretty well. So this is something to stay tuned for. Is this a temporary thing? Is this something that's going to change over the course of time? I don't know. But stay tuned.
Are the new EU rules even more confusing than our rules?
Yes, they're even more confusing. And he's put out another one that talked about, even with like the Mini 2, that there's going to be restrictions on being able to fly the Mini 2 coming, I think, in 2023. So they're getting real strict over in Europe as far as that's concerned. I mean, they're really clamping down. And why they're doing this, I have no idea, Ron. I have absolutely no idea.
Wow. You have that FCC database thing up there. I don't think we talked about that in the show last night, but I saw it maybe after the show that they've even discovered the FCC thing for the smart controller.
Yes, I did see that. I did see that as well. And see, okay, you can see there's a C here. Okay, UK, CA. See some other information here. Now, one thing here. Okay, now this is some good information here, and we kind of talked about this a little bit last night. Now, this is from the FCC Grant ID database. L2P is the Mavic 3 Cine, and the L2A is the Mavic 3. Only the L2P was tested, since according to the declaration from the applicant, the electrical circuit design, layout, components used, internal wiring, and functions were identical for the above models. The difference between the L2P and the L2A is the memory is different. L2P has one more SSD than the L2A. Okay.
One more SSD than the L2A. So they has two and the A has one. I mean, what's that saying?
I think that's what that's saying. So
one more.
I think we're going to have a lot of memory on there, Ron. That's really kind of a signal for that. My guess, and this is just off the top of my head, okay. Now, if there's two on there, my guess is it would be probably 500 in each one for that. So maybe we're getting maybe 500 for storage. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah, well, think about it. If Hubsan could put 128 of internal storage in theirs, why can't DJI top that, right, Bill?
Yeah, and I think they will. Okay, CryptoMan 5000 just reported there's no panel to approve the new C label requirement. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So, yeah, that's going to be very interesting to kind of see where that goes. As far as that's concerned. But yeah,
if they're not able to sell the Mavic 3 in Europe because of these restrictions, it may let more units available for other countries, Bill.
Yeah, that could be very possible as far as that's concerned. Now, I wanted to go ahead and bring up. Now, this is what it looks like. I know because I had some questions on this. Mm-hmm. This is actually what the filing looks like on the FCC Grant ID database. And you can see it takes a lot. You kind of have to decipher because not a lot of it, you don't see Mavic 3 immediately through a lot of this information here. Okay. You'll see coming down here, original equipment. It'll list the frequency ranges for this. And this is, if you're an electrical engineer, this is going to be right up your alley. If you're not, it's going to just be double speak to you as far as that's concerned. Now, here's some application forms, the applicant information, FCC ID, person at the technical contact, long-term confidentiality in a short-term, and long-term do apply to this. I wanted to go down here. Test firm information. This is who actually tested it. Equipment authorization waiver, grants, and here are the grants that are actually listed for this. You don't have permission to access. Okay, you can only go so far on this. Okay, some of that information's blocked. You can't even see it. And I wanted to go through this just to kind of show you guys what some of this information looks like.
That's interesting to see, Bill.
And I wanted to pull up. Was trying to find.
Oh, Bill, can I interrupt for a second? I want to wish Greg Pittman a happy birthday. He says he's got to go for his birthday dinner. Night, everyone. So big happy birthday to our friend Greg Pittman. And yes. Greg Pittman contacted me. He will be at Spin Up on November 6th.
Awesome. Well, happy birthday, Greg, from all of us here. I hope you have a good one. I'm not finding the links that I wanted to find on this because you'll be able to see now with some of them, they protect them, and it looks like it's protected on this one. I think they've locked some of the things. Because the other day I was able to bring up a couple of PDFs, and I'm not able to find those right now, and I don't know why. Yeah, access denied, access denied.
They're locking things down, huh?
Yeah, they locked this down since this came out.
Probably because they know it got hit a couple million times since then.
Yeah, and that's why they do that. Now, I think we're going to see more information come out, not less, as the days go on. I think we'll see some more pictures. I think we may even see a video or two of the Mavic 3. Question of the day. What do you think of this week's new update regarding the DJI Mavic 3 Pro? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, it's a great day to fly.